On this episode of Sweet Point Setter Tales, we spend our last day in Kansas hunting the plum thickets for wild Kansas quail. I'm Wade Kisner, and I grew up hunting upland birds. Nothing's better than chasing a couple English setters called Sweet Lou and Adeline. Lou is a master hunter, and Adeline is quickly learning the trade. These are some of our tales. We got an early start from St. John, as it was going to take a half hour to get to another prime piece of land that Richard leases for use by his Triple Creek Outfitters clients. The sun was coming up as we headed west to get a final day of upland hunting in Kansas. Like yesterday, this field was massive, and according to Richard, was 160 acres shy of being a whole section. The guys at Triple Creek Outfitters and their German Shorthairs are top-notch, and it was a pleasure spending time with them both in and out of the field. Along with their bird-finding talents, Darren and Richard have a fine sense of humor and keep you on your toes at all times. Throw Matt Duff in the mix and no one has a chance. Now it's true that for 2 days we had all been giving Darren the business for his Fabio-like hair. It should have been no surprise that Richard shows up our last morning with his own rock star hair.
Got some hair overnight. Get some Miracle Grow on your head. I was just tired of everybody coming out here talking about how great your hair is, so I thought I'd get a little of my own overnight.
He walked in, I'm like, I thought, Darren, wait a minute. I know Darren's way better looking than that.
It was time to collar up the setters and go. Sweet Lou gets to start, and Darby will be on the ground as the brace. Together with 5 hard-working German Shorthairs, it doesn't seem too fair for the birds. Here we go again, into another ocean of Kansas CRP. Didn't take long before all the dogs began to act birdie and Sweet Lou went on point. A benefit to hunting over pointing dogs is the opportunity to set up for the flush, especially if you want to capture it on film. We attempted to get cameraman Josh in for a close, tight view of the flush. So tight, the quail almost touched the camera.
First Kansas bobwhite. Pretty little bird. Boy, they fly fast. Getting fun now.
After busting the covey, we started seeing a few singles.
Wow! Shot, dead.
Unlike many places we have hunted, in Kansas, you and your dogs will run out of gas long before you ever run out of bird cover. The amount of quality bird cover goes on for miles. Matt and I are walking along and spot this iconic oil well in front of us, and we both get this inspiration that it would be a great place to get this field interview. And we just turned the camera on and we hear some yelling Rooster just in time to turn around and see Travis drop this rooster right above his head.
There, wait, Rooster!
Woo! Holy!
There ain't no doubt about who got that one.
Yeah!
There won't be any arguments about that one.
I was sitting here and I saw the rooster come up. Yeah, he came straight up over the top. I heard you yell Rooster, and then just as you yelled Rooster, I saw the rooster go, and then I heard the shot. And then I thought, man, that was awesome. Yeah, Matt and Wade were down interviewing in front of the pump jacks, and we were just standing there for a few minutes. Yeah, we were there a couple minutes, and all of a sudden,
go. Hey, you know, you guys. That's birdie. Going out to her.
got a point on the right side of our line. We're gonna wait and just see what happens here. Hold on, I think we got a point right here, Matt. Yeah, I got a point right here. I still don't see her, but she's gotta be right in front of me here. Yeah, they're rock hard right here. Hold on. Head! Woo! Boy, that's exciting. Good dog, good dog. Woo, that's exciting. Boy, that get your blood pressure up. That's fun. Let's keep going. Let's find another one. Matt, I see Birdie's ranging out a little bit. Would you normally let her get out that far?
Yeah, and really it's in a wild bird situation in this huge country like this. I mean, we're in a full section of CRP. In this open area, like right now, I'm standing in sand. There is no brush. See, she's locked down now. So this open area is wide enough for birds to get away. So I let her work out further in this kind of terrain. You see, this ground is so open. I let her get out a little further where, you know, now she's coming back. She might catch one trying to get away from us. So
Deer up there.
is there? It's just wild bird hunting, like it's yesterday morning.
Take it from here, Matt.
Huh?
Could you take it from here?
Where is it? Oh, right over, went over the ridge.
There it is.
You'd have to lob one out there, put the lead on them. There's a hen track right there, pheasant track. So that may have been the bird that got up. Or actually, no, that could be a rooster track and running. Yeah, it might be rooster track running.
Whoa!
Could be quail, who knows?
Yeah, get ready. Whoa. Oh, this is exciting. This is exciting.
That's a solid lock.
He's locked hard. Head!
Ooh, that thing's set right.
Yeah, that was a good point. Good dog. Woo!
We're hunting with the guys from Sweet Point Setters, and it's kind of a different sort of hunt where we're actually, Darren, my other main guide, bird guide, and myself, we're getting to carry guns and just hunt as friends this morning and have a really good hunt. We've seen a couple coveys of quail and several pheasants and got a couple of those, so it's enjoyable once in a while to be able to come out here and carry our gun and get to do what we like to do.
After a few hours, we loaded up and moved to another field which had grass cover but many plum thickets, where Richard had observed numerous coveys in the past. I think the boys and I were looking forward to duplicate yesterday's quail encounter.
So now we just crossed out of the big CRP and we're into the more this rolling pasture ground, these sand hills, and you'll see all this little brush here, which are little plum thickets and a few little cottonwoods and tamarack trees and stuff like that, which is really more quail country out here. And I really like hunting this kind of stuff because the birds seem to be pinned into more of these little thickets right here, and the dogs can work those areas and you can see a lot. So hopefully we'll get into some more coveys. If not, we're going to pull up and go somewhere else. Definitely not the morning we had yesterday, but we were in a totally different environment, big open CRP field, thick CRP. And as you saw yesterday morning, roosters everywhere. So today we were kind of specifically coming to different terrain to try to get into some coveys of birds, and we did, but we've gotten a couple of roosters in the process, so we'll get on them. Hopefully the dogs will get a couple more coveys before we get out of here.
We're coming up to the top of this hill towards a large plum thicket, and I hear Richard shout that we have a dog on point. I look up in time to see my girl Duchess, and she's pushed into the thicket on point with her tail high to the sky. The cover's really thick, and Darren sees a pathway where he can get into where she is. Richard shouts there's a whole covey of quail. About that time,
Quail!
all I hear is the buzzing of wings, and there are quail flushing in all directions.
Go.
That's a good shot.
Woo! Flying through all them trees, man.
As we closed out our 3-day visit to the Central Plains of Kansas, I was struck by the thought of how blessed I am to get to spend a day in the field with family and friends and to share the same joy that we feel for upland hunting over gun dogs. The legendary outdoor writer Gene Hill once wrote, "At home, a friend will ask, 'Been bird hunting?' You will say that you have, and when he asks, 'Have any luck?' you will think of what you have held in your heart instead of your hand and answer that you certainly did, without a doubt."
Sweet Point Setter Tales is brought to you with support from our sponsors.
Hi, I'm Wade Kisner with Sweet Point Setter Tales. Do you have an interesting story idea for a future episode? We'd love to hear about it. Drop us a line at sweetpointsetters.com.